Time for another true crime story, and one that's been back in the headlines more than 30 years after the original crime.
David Wilson is here to tell us. Well, we've been grilling him over the break, haven't we? We've been talking about it already.
Gripping.
And, David, we're talking about the Menendez brothers this morning.
Yeah.
Who are they?
OK, so very simply, Lyle and Erik Menendez, brothers, who are going to be convicted of having murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in August 1989 in Beverly Hills, so an aspirational part of California. So this has never been a whodunit. The brothers clearly kill their parents, but it has been a whodunit. Why did they do it? The brothers claim that they did this as a form of self-defense because they had been being sexually abused by their father, which the mother, Kitty, seemingly was aware of the sexual abuse, but did nothing about it. And so they kill their parents because they're frightened that their father will kill them so as to prevent the sexual abuse becoming public. So that's why they claim they kill their parents. That they go to trial twice. On the second occasion, they are convicted of first-degree murder. They're serving life without the possibility of parole. They've currently served 34 years, and now their lawyer, the wonderfully named Mark Geragos, is saying that there is new evidence that might result in a resentencing, not that they're going to be found not guilty, but a resentencing of them, which will mean that they can be released as opposed to serving life without parole. And that's why there's so much renewed interest in the case.
And also the Netflix drama, Monsters, which has just been a huge hit globally.
So Monsters is part of that franchise that we know from Ryan Murphy, Ian Brennan. The first of the Monsters series was about Jeffrey Dahmer. After the Menendez brothers, it's going to be about Ed Gein, the serial killer Ed Gein, played by Charlie Hunnam. And effectively, this 9-part series on Netflix dropped in September. It has a Rashomon effect. It's going to show you different perspectives, the perspective of the parents, the perspective of the brothers, a journalist, and also the police.
There's just so much to talk about, whether you've seen that series or not. I mean, because the fascinating thing, so that's a 9-parter.
9-parter. I would say episode 5 is the standout episode for me. It's one shot, just the camera following Erik Menendez and what Erik Menendez says to his lawyer about the abuse he experienced. Remember, though, Erik Menendez was in therapy and never once raised the fact in therapy that he had been being sexually abused. So this is where some of the controversy about whether or not they were sexually abused or not.
Well, there was the time when the first trial was going on and people were making jokes about it. It was on the Jay Leno show. It was like all different things.
Every late-night show in America, they were just laughing at them, weren't they?
People didn't believe it. How much of the case is actually real in the right? Yeah.
Well, there's a lot in the drama that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And in particular, the drama concentrates both on the shooting of the parents in August 1989 and also their subsequent trials. So what's really graphic in the drama is that you will see Erik and Lyle go into their parents' house. Their parents were watching television. They will take in shotguns and they will shoot at point-blank range both their mother and their father. They shoot their mother 10 times. They shoot their father 6 times. This is what we call parricide. There's overkill, and overkill means that they're using more violence than is necessary to achieve what it is they want to achieve, which is to kill their parents, which does indicate there may have been some psychological motivation behind what it was that they did.
So last night, Annie and I watched the documentary that has now been released about Monsters, about these two brothers. And the interesting thing is, as well, David, and maybe you can explain how on earth this can happen, the brothers voice this documentary on their phone from prison.
And of course, the brothers have been very critical about the drama.
Yeah.
They say it's character assassination. They're much more in favour of the documentary, and the documentary does have them narrating particular parts, as you say. And they do that simply by the production company recording what they're saying at the time. American rules related to access to the media are very different to the rules related to access to the media in this country.
Watching the trial take place, and you're watching actual trial footage, because of course they have that as well, and the boys having to talk about what their father subjected them to. But of course, The prosecution called that the abuse excuse.
We'd never, ever, ever hear those kinds of phrases these days. And of course, the prosecution at one stage claimed that it was impossible for a boy to be raped. You know, so we're back in the late 1980s, early 1990s, where there was just a presumption that sexual abuse and boys didn't really exist. Oprah did so much.
Amazing
She
show.
did a big show, didn't she, where all the different gentlemen stood up with pictures of themselves as, like, little boys that have been abused.
And of course, that's part of the new evidence. Mark Geragos, the lawyer, is going to say that he has new evidence in relation to a letter that had been written by Erik in 1988, so prior to the murder itself, and in particular, a member of a boy band that was being managed by Jose Menendez has come forward now to say that he had been sexually abused by Jose Menendez. But we've got the lawyer, Mark Geragos, talking about this new evidence that's being presented to the DA in Los Angeles. And we've got a clip of the lawyer speaking.
We presented two pieces of evidence. The one was a letter from Erik to Andy Cano, which predates the killings by 8 months. The other was a declaration by Roy Rosello, who is another victim of Jose. The combination of those two, we believe, provide more than ample basis to set aside the result of the second trial.
So this is now going to be really interesting and could change the sentencing. But also, Kim Kardashian's drawn loads of attention to this case because, in actual fact, her father was a really powerful lawyer.
Yeah.
And also, she'd probably lived round the corner from this family too.
Oh, I think there's a
Elm
circle
Drive.
in which the Kardashians would have encountered, without doubt, the Menendez. But Kim Kardashian's advocacy that the brothers should be resentenced, coupled with a TikTok campaign. Listen, I teach first-year students. They'll all be watching now. They want to talk about the Menendez brothers case all the time. That kind of TikTok generation has really picked up on they should be resentenced. But I think what we've got to be careful of here are that this is a real crime. This was a parricide. 2 people lost their lives in really dreadful circumstances. And now, you know, you might have a belief that the brothers should be resentenced, but that's not evidence, that's not fact. And so we've got to wait until the LADA, act called George Gascon, actually looks at the evidence to see if they're innocent.
The prosecution maintained that the brothers constructed this idea that they were facing this abuse from their father for the sake of the trial to try and find some leniency. They said they did it, but they did it for a reason. If this evidence points to the fact that actually this was way before anything happened, that they were writing to their aunt about it, there was another young boy who was in a boy band that had been abused by their father.
They told their mother too.
They told them, but yeah, I mean, if it does come to resentencing, David, what does that mean for the Menendez brothers?
It probably will mean they are released, to be perfectly honest. They've served 34, 36 years, and so they will be resentenced, and instead of them facing life without parole, they probably would get parole.
And life in America means staying in for the whole of their lives.
As it does, there's a whole life tariff in Britain as well. So it would mean they would spend the rest of their life in prison, whereas in fact, if they're resentenced, the chances are they will be released.
OK, well, we were gripped, weren't we?
Really were.
Netflix, the documentary and the drama.
Yeah,
It's
David, it's always great having you in.
Thank
Thank you
you
for coming and sharing that.
Thank you. Well, I could sit chatting to you.
Yeah, we could, couldn't we?
I could just get a nice cup of coffee
and to all your first-year students that are watching, get back to work.
You're very lucky. He's brilliant. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.